We're still in Parak Lamed Tes, just for the record. It's a very long parak. Okay, we're on page 104 on top, 192 at the bottom. Okay, we're going to start 2 lines in the bottom of the page. Now, Rebbe was explaining before this whole point of why you need the kavanah of a mitzvah, why you need the intent when you do the mitzvah. And now Rebbe explained until now there's 2 levels of intent. There's an animal intent and there's a human intent. Meaning, the intent over here, he's talking about loving and fearing of Hashem. So there is a love and a fear that is revealed through open meditation. Seichel, intellect stimulates feelings. So when a person is intellectually meditating into the greatness of Hashem, that stimulates open love and fear of Hashem. That's human, because human are intellect. Then you have another way of stimulating the love and fear of Hashem, which is called with the instinctive, natural, innate love that the neshama, the Ahava, the hidden love that every Jew has to Hashem. Okay, that level he calls the animal kavanah, because animal runs on instinct, right? Not intellectual. And Alter Rebbe is explaining that the worlds of Atzilus and Bria versus Yetzirah and Asiyah. So I'm just coming to where we're up to now. So Alter Rebbe starts explaining that in the world of Bria, shines intellect, Bina. In the world of Yetzirah shines Midas. Therefore, the angels, Jews that serve Hashem instinctively, on the world of Yetzirah. Jews that serve Hashem with intellectual stimulation, they're in the world of Bria, which shines Seichel from Atzilus. But Atzilus, he says, is much greater than that. It's much greater than that. Okay? So now he says that we're going to start 2 lines in the bottom. At the bottom of the pages 192, 2 lines in the bottom. And Alter Rebbe is saying one more point you need to mention. The Alter Rebbe is saying that Hashem is limiting himself into Atzilus, and then from Atzilus into the 3 lower worlds for people to be able to handle godliness. If godliness would be revealed down here the way it is revealed in Atzilus, then everybody would just feel godliness. We wouldn't have a world. It would be godly. That's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants a dwelling place down here. He says now like this. In a tzimtzum zeh, this limitation, contraction, concealment of godliness is sibes ha'ara, is the cause of the revelation of Hashem, sheme'ir sham chabad, where the intellect of Hashem through the channels of the world, and Ein Sof Baruch Hu, of godliness, the neshamas elu, to these souls in the world of Bria. Meaning like this: if godliness would not go through Atzilus, and from Atzilus, a concealment into Bria, we would not be able to handle it in those neshamas of Bria. But I'm going to read a little bit and explain. Top of the page. Masha'enkim b'Atzilus, in the world of Atzilus, she'enam b'chinas tzimtzum kol kach, where godliness is not so concealed. In other words, the only concealment of Atzilus is that there's 10 levels. There's intellect and emotions. But it's infinite chokhmah, infinite bina, infinite chesed, and infinite gvura, and it's infinite. Each one is infinite. The only finite aspect of Atzilus, relatively speaking, is that there's 10 and not 11. So that's a certain limitation. But he says, in Atzilus, it's not a world of limitation. Intellectual people that basically find themselves in the world of Bria, which is intellect, they cannot, lekabel man, get this revelation of Atzilus. Lachain, because less machshavte dilhain, because our minds are not tfisa sham klal, cannot get the understanding of Atzilus. When we say less machshava tfisa bach klal, no mind can grasp you. We're not even talking about Hashem's essence. We're talking about the godliness that's in Atzilus cannot be understood by a human being. Only tzaddikim that he's going to say. But an average person cannot, on a regular basis, there are exceptions, these are the same. On a regular basis, a regular human being cannot grasp the godliness of Atzilus. And I'm going to explain this as follows. Olam Atzilus, if you think about it, is a contradiction of terms. Olam means a world. Olam means ha'elam, concealment. But it's Atzilus. What does Atzilus mean? Two things. It comes from the word eitzel, near. It's close to godliness. It feels godliness. And also it's called Hatzalah v'hafrosha. It's an emanation. Bria, I'm going to say things and then explain them all. Bria, the next world, is by definition, Bria, we learned many times, yesh mi'ayin, something from nothing. The definition of yesh mi'ayin means that the yesh, the existence, why is the source of the yesh called ayin? Something from nothing? Why is that? Because it doesn't feel its source. If it felt its source, it wouldn't be something from nothing. It would be something from something. Why is the world of Bria, unlike Atzilus, which is called Eitzel, it's not a creation yesh mi'ayin. It's not something from nothing. It's an emanation of godliness that lowered itself into 10 levels. But it's not a yesh that feels itself as a separate entity. It's Eitzel. It's close to Hashem. It's near Hashem. Therefore, the world of Atzilus is godly. Once you come into the world of Bria, that means a world of yesh mi'ayin. That means it doesn't feel Atzilus. It can't feel Atzilus because if it would feel Atzilus, it wouldn't be Bria. It would be Atzilus. But yesh mi'ayin means it doesn't know where its source comes from, and therefore it says it's something from nothing. That's the definition of it. It doesn't feel its source. So therefore, in order for Atzilus, this godly world, and in fact, in Torah Or, the Rebbe explains a very interesting point. Chochma of Atzilus is not Chochma of Chochma. The Rebbe explains in Torah Or, Chochma of Atzilus is the source and the potential of actual Chochma. It's not tangible Chochma. Chesed of Atzilus, and that's why we say in Pasuk Elio, Less machshava tvisa be'klal, no mind can grasp Hashem. It's a godly world. It's a world that feels godliness. But it's what does it mean? It's the potential for chokhmah and chesed and gvura and all that. But it's not tangible because all bottled to Hashem. It's godliness. In order for Atzilus to come down here, Hashem had to make a big concealment. And therefore, I believe last week at the end of the year, we mentioned that between Atzilus and Bria, in Kabbalah and Chassidus, it says there is a parsa, a curtain between Atzilus, not obviously not a physical curtain, but it's the concept of a curtain. Oh, we mentioned at the end of last week's class, if I have a light on the table, okay, I'm closer to the light, I have more light. I'm further away from the light, I have less light. But it's still the same light. It's the same light, more and less based on the proximity to the actual light. But if I would put a towel over the light, a curtain over that light, the light on the other side of the curtain is a different type of light. It's not the same light less. It's a different type of a light. And in order for the revelation of Atzilus to function in the world of Bria and Yetzirah and Asiya, there has to be this big tzimtzum. Because normal people can't handle, on a regular, he's going to say exceptions, but they can't handle that revelation of oneness with God, because if that's what you would feel, we wouldn't be doing anything wrong. We would only be close to Hashem. And therefore he says like this, therefore this world of Atzilus, okay, is the dwelling place of the tzaddikim gedolim, shavedosam, that their avodah serving Hashem is not even intellectual, is l'mayla, is infinitely greater, afilu mepchinas dechilu urechimu, even greater than the love and the fear, or the fear and the love, hanimshachas min abina v'das b'gedulasi yizbarech. It's even greater than the intellectual stimulation of midas. And he said, just like Elam Atzilus is higher than the understanding of Bria. The Alter Rebbe said, Bina and Chochmah of Atzilus shine in the world of Bria. Bria is a world of intellect, of godliness. But any level of intellect, no matter how brilliant and great or phenomenal the person's IQ is, it's still limited. The world of Atzilus, Rabbi, is the level of tzaddikim that they don't serve Hashem only intellectually, because that's limiting it. They're serving Hashem, he says, Elavidosim b'chinas merkava mamish. They are complete like a chariot. They are complete bittul to Hashem, v'libatul elav b'metzias, and they're completely subservient, non-existence, completely batul. Licholo ba'ardi is supposed to become one with Hashem. Hein v'chol hashalem, them and every part of them, to kimatei of mitzvahs. Meaning like this: tzaddikim don't serve Hashem only with seichel, because they're one with Hashem. Tzaddikim daimim lebeirah. He's going to quote now the Medrash that Rashi quotes it in Chumash, by the way. Ha'aves hein hamerkava. The aves are the chariot of Hashem, which means the horse goes where the rider leads it. These tzaddikim go where Hashem leads them, nowhere else. Complete bittul. The horse is bottled to the rider, the tzaddikim are bottled. By the way, it's a pasuk in Chumash. When Hashem finished speaking to Avram Avinu, when he was fighting about Zdaim, the pasuk says a weird word. Vayal me'olav Elokim. Hashem went off him. Vayal me'olav Elokim. Hashem went off him. So the Medrash says, Rashi quotes it in Chumash. What do you mean he went off him? It's like riding him like a horse, and he went off him. So the Medrash says, yeah. Tzaddikim are the horses being ridden by Hashem, whatever the word is. The tzaddikim are, Hashem is riding them. They have complete bittul to Hashem. By the way, that's why in Chassidic language, when we say a Rebbe is a neshama of Atzilus, every neshama comes from Atzilus. But the Rebbe is in Perek Beis, every neshama comes from Atzilus. But the question, what happens along the way down? You know what I mean? It goes into Bria, then Asiya, whatever. Neshama of Atzilus means down here. This is what Dr. Rebbe is saying, by the way, exactly here. Tzaddikim down here are the level of Atzilus. What is the world of Atzilus? Feeling godliness, completely bottled, subjugated, non-existent, nullified. All they are is an extension of Hashem. That's what the tzaddikim of Atzilus said. Well, so when it says in Chassidus the expression, a Rebbe is a neshama of Atzilus, It means down here, they're on the level of Atzilus. Because their Avodah 24/7, 120 years, is all complete Bittul Tashem. There is no I, there's no me, there's not I want, I have, I do, nothing. What Hashem wants, that's what they do. And now Rabbi is going to say a very interesting point. When a hand gives tzedakah, we learned that before, really. But now Rabbi says early in time, and here also, when a hand gives tzedakah, at that moment, that hand is a merkava, the chariot, of chesed of Atzilus. That means when you do a mitzvah with your hand, you put money in the pushka, which is an act of chesed. At that moment, you are becoming a merkava to chesed of Atzilus. When a person speaks, learning, davening, whatever it is, yeah, speech is malchus. So at that moment, when a person is davening or learning and saying tillim, whatever it may be, at that moment, their mouth is a merkava to malchus of Atzilus. But, the big but coming in, a minute later, the mouth can say what it shouldn't. A minute later, the hand can do what it shouldn't, and whatever. So yeah, at this moment, it was bottled to Hashem. As Alter Rebbe said before in Perek Chafei of Tanya, this unity that you had with Hashem is permanent, because Hashem is above time and place. Nevertheless, a minute later, we're not on that level anymore. Now, the tzaddik zone is 24/7 on that level. In Shama Batzilus. Can we fathom it? Can we dig it? Can we get it? No. And that's one of the infinite reasons why we're not a Rebbe, why we're not tzaddikim. Because it's a completely different level. It's a completely different approach. It's a whole different lifestyle. He says like this. Okay, because they're bottled to Hashem. Like he said, Derech Sha'amr, like the Medrash says, Ha'avis Heinein Merkava. The obvious word is Merkava of Hashem. Why? Their whole life, entire life, from the time they became tzaddikim until they die, is the Merkava completely 24/7. Okay, but now he's talking to us. It's good to know what a tzaddik is, because it looks to know what the hope is, so to speak. It's like we mentioned this many times. It's brought down that when the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab met Freud, and Freud psychoanalyzed the Rebbe Rashab, so to speak, and he said that the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe was, you can't use the word depressed. He was like not himself. Okay. So Freud realized, he said, the problem with the Rebbe Rashab is he's longing for something that he knows he'll never get. Meaning, obviously he longed to God and got godliness. But the level of godliness that the Rebbe Rashab was longing to is beyond. And he knew he can never get it. And that you can't use the word depression on a Rebbe. There's no depressed, there's no murder shcheda by a Rebbe. But that caused him this internal turmoil, rather, to use the word, of he knew that he couldn't get what he was longing for. So yeah, we can get the level of a tzaddik. At least we can, should bother us to, maybe one day. Pleasant dreams. But a person whose neshama is much limited and smaller, we cannot reach this level of 24/7 bittul to Hashem. We just can't. Only in designated times. Shemem Eis Rotzen Lamaila, which are auspicious time when God helps us with this from above, like the Tefillah Shmona Esrei in the davening of the Amidah, the Shmona Esrei, which is the level of Atzilus. It says in Kabbalah, in Chassidus, that the 4 parts of davening, meaning until Baruch Shamar, until Yishtabach, until Shmona Esrei, and Shmona Esrei, correspond with the 4 worlds. Until Baruch Shamar is the world of Asiya. Baruch Shamar, Pesukei Zimra, as it's called, is the world of Yetzirah. Birchas Krishma and Shema, the brachas of Shema and Shema are Bria, and Shmona Esrei is Atzilus. And he says, especially by the bowing. When you bow in Shmona Esrei, he quotes from the Arizal, Shekol Ishtachava, he bechinas Atzilus. Every bowing, meaning I'm submitting myself to you, I'm becoming one with you, that's the level of Atzilus. So he's saying that technically, during davening, it's possible to a certain level. We shouldn't fool ourselves. That's the worst thing we could do. A certain level to be able to reach that plateau of complete bittul to Hashem. It's a very difficult level to reach, by the way. And he says, Ki inyan bittul ba'eri is barich. Because what is the inyan of bittul? Ba'eri is barich. Liyez choshev kamei, to be considered in the presence of Hashem. Koloi mamish, as if we're nothing. He says, even then, even then, the primary place of his neshama is in Bria, which is meditating in Hashem. Once in a while. Once in a while, if a person really tries hard and he tries to be batal to Hashem, once, who knows how often, can become that his neshama goes up to Atzilus, with mayim nukva, meaning the feminine water, meaning the awakening from below. Okay, so now the Rebbe is saying like this. The purpose of the revelation of Atzilus, to come into the world, to feel godliness in the world, has to be through a massive sense. And therefore, even people that serve Hashem intellectually with love and fear, openly felt love and fear, bottom line is they're only in the world of Bria. Great tzaddikim, like we said, the Rebbes and things like that, they're in the world of Atzilus, constantly. Once in a while, if a person works on themselves, they can reach that level. And Chassidus explains that sometimes when a person is connected to a Rebbe, meaning they do what the Rebbe wants them to do, the Rebbe will take you up for a trip, pick you up there, will take you up to a higher level. The Rebbe spoke many times that we know on the yard site, when the anniversary of somebody's passing, the neshama goes up higher in Gan Eden. The Gemara says, "Tzadikim ein la menucha." Tzadikim don't have rest, not in this world, not in the world to come. This world we know they suffer a lot, but even in the world to come, shenema yelchu michayil lachol. They go from strength to strength. So neshamas in Gan Eden are always going higher, but it's a gradual elevation. On a yard site, the neshama jumps to a much higher level. And the Rebbe said many times about the Rebbe and everything, because the tzaddik is going up higher, he's taking all those that are, holding on to his klamke, which means like the door handle. Whoever is holding on to him, he takes up with you. He takes a free ride up. So every person becomes elevated. And by the way, it's an interesting thing. People say, God forbid somebody passes away, we say Kaddish for 11 months. Okay? What is the purpose of that Kaddish? To save the person punishment in Gehenna. Because Kaddish that a child recites, or if they got somebody to say Kaddish, helps the person from punishment in Gehenna. And therefore, like we learned many times, Chabad customs to say 16 Kadeshim a day for a person who passed away. Why? Because it says in Zohar, Kaddish lasts for an hour and a half. So you have 16 times 1.5 is 24. So it protects the person 24 hours from Gehenna. But 10 years later, 15 years later, on a Yartzit, you say Kaddish. What's the purpose of saying Kaddish on a Yartzit? They're out of Gehenna already. The max you stay in Gehenna is a year. So why does a person say Kaddish on a Yartzit? So Halach explains it, Chassidus explains even more. Kaddish is not only to save a person from Gehenna. Kaddish is to help the person in the ascent to a higher world. On the Yartzeit, they're going up to the higher world. They need help from down here, from the family. So when a child says, Yiskadal v'yiskada Shmei Rabba, the name of Hashem is praised, that Kaddish helps the neshama in its truck upward. And that explains also when a tzaddik passes, a Rebbe passes away, what are you saying Kaddish? They don't go to Gehenna. Tzaddik can go straight to Gan Eden. The Kaddish is not only to save a person from Gehenna, it's to help him going to a higher and higher level. We find a similar thing in mikveh. Mikveh, immersing in a mikveh does two things. Number one, if a person's impure, they become pure, number one. And there's a second thing of a mikveh. The Kohen Gadol went to the mikveh 5 times on Yom Kippur. So we're not allowed to go on Yom Kippur. The Kohen Gadol went 5 times. Trust me, he didn't become Tamei 5 times. Mikveh has 2 things. Even a person who's not Tamei, why do they go to mikveh? Because mikveh has a second aspect. Number one, it removes impurity, but mikveh also brings more kedusha. It's called tesis kedusha. It brings a person holier. It makes them holier. That same thing with Kaddish. Kaddish does 2 things. It saves the person from Gehenna, and it takes the person up. So the Alter Rebbe is saying over here, once in a while, the neshama of a Jew from the world of Bria, when they do the avodah of bittul as much as possible, once in a while, it's not constant, so they're not always in Atzilus like the tzaddikim, but every so often they get a free pass to Atzilus, so to speak. That the neshama for a while could be in Atzilus. And feel, what do you mean be in Atzilus? It's not that the neshama leaves the body and takes a trip up. When you say Gan Eden is up and Gehenna is down there, trust me, it's not an elevator going up and an elevator going down. Atzilus is here. It's a spiritual world. Atzilus is a level of attachment with Hashem. You could be in a physical, a Rebbe, when he's in Atzilus, is not leaving the body. The tzaddik in the body, or a person when they're davening officially, Shemon Esrei, especially by the bowing, what he says, okay, that's not, trust me, it's not us. Then the person is in a feeling of spiritual bliss, of Atzilus. It's not that the body, the neshama goes out of the body. Where's Gan Eden? You think Gan Eden is 100 miles up? The spaceship one day is going to meet into it. You put a man on Gan Eden. It's not going to happen. Gan Eden is a spiritual realm of feeling godliness. You feel godliness less, you're in Nasiya. A little bit more, you're at Tzir, a little bit more Bria, a lot more on Atzilus. That's what it means. It's a feeling of Elokus. It's a different measurement. Being in Atzilus means you could be in a body. Being in Atzilus means you feel one with Hashem completely, 24/7. Now sometimes we be in Atzilus for a few minutes, a few moments, but that's also good. Like the Kohen Gadol going to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Yeah, I know it's late, but in the second base of Mikdash, every year they changed the Kohen Gadol. You would die in the Holy of Holies because he wasn't really fit. Okay, and the second time people paid the Romans money to be a Kohen Gadol. And they knew they were going to die. It got to a point when the Kohen Gadol went in the second Beis Hamikdash. He went in to the Holy of Holies. They tied a rope around him that as soon as he died, he pulled him out. They knew he was going to die. Now, what happened? The Rebbe said, I remember when the Rebbe said he was crying. The Rebbe said they knew they were going to die, but it was worth it for them to see godliness in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, even though they knew they were going to die. Just for those few minutes, it was worth it for them to do it. Okay, that's it for tonight. It's Monday night, 8 o'clock. Parsha. Until then, everybody have a great Shabbos. You should only hear good news.